Hello, my name is Collection Connoisseur. I collect digital thingamabobs in video games, and today I'm playing Hollow Knight. Last time on Hollow Knight, we defeated the 5th Pantheon with the... which binding was it? Oh no. Well, I've defeated it with all three... with 3 of the 4. The nail binding was what we did last time. This time, we're doing the charms binding, which is why I didn't look at what charms I was wearing. Because it doesn't matter. And this is the last of the bindings, which means as long as I win this time, I will have completed every challenge that I wanted to complete in this game. If I win this time, it will be 5 wins in the 5th Pantheon in a row. I am not nervous, by the way. I probably should be, because whenever I say, oh man, I'm going to do this amazing feat, it often goes wrong. Often when I say, oh, I'll just not get hit, I get hit directly after saying that. And you can't jinx things. Jinxing things isn't real, right? Just because you say something's going to happen and you say, no, it's really going to happen this time. There's no such thing as jinxing. Foreshadowing doesn't happen in real life, right? So I'm perfectly fine. I'm going to win this time. No problems. For certain. Don't die. No, I jumped into it. I jumped into it. Alright, I was not able to defeat it 5 times in a row. Very sad. I have learned that the fates are real, and you should not tempt them. Therefore, I lost last time. Wasn't able to defeat the 5th Pantheon as I had expected. The fates decreed instead that it would be this time that I would defeat the 5th Pantheon with the charms binding. So here we go, the last time through the Pantheon, and this time the fates have decreed it. The False Knight, the very first boss in the game. I lost to you the first time, and I think that's great. The fact that you are easy enough that it's surprising to me that I ever lost to you, as well as hard enough that a player that just doesn't know this game will actually lose to you the first time through. The Massive Moss Charger. I think you're a little too easy, Massive Moss Charger. You make it so that I get a little bit bored fighting you. So goodbye, Massive Moss Charger. It was enjoyable fighting you the first couple times. The Soul Warrior. You are not a boss. I don't know why you made it into the Pantheon of Hallownest, really. Like, what have you done that made you boss-like? The Dung Defender. I think his name is Ogrim. The Dung Defender remembers the good old days, when he was a knight answering directly to the king. So goodbye, Dung Defender. Joyful battles all around. Gorb. I like Gorb. Gorb is the great mind. He really was the great mind, exalted in his day. Nailmaster Oro. I have greatly enjoyed being able to fight you in the Pantheon of Hallownest. What am I trying to say? The Godhome. I'm very happy that you appeared in the Godhome so that I could fight the Nail Masters. After meeting the Nail Masters and learning their craft in the main game, it's really cool to actually go up and fight against them in the Godhome Pantheons. And this is really cool. Having the brothers Oro and Mato to fight you at the same time, that's cool for 2 reasons. One, you're fighting 2 bosses at the same time, and that can be very interesting. But also, these 2 particular bosses, you know in the real world that they have some beef with one another, that they are kind of estranged brothers for some reason, that they never fully explain. I mean, Not that they have any reason to explain it to you, the pupil that they both teach. But still, it's neat to see what's probably the previous version of them when they were still brothers that helped each other, that fought beside each other. And I do really like a couple bits about this battle. One of the facts is that they both use the nail art that they teach you. You know, there's the spin, the cyclone slash that you get from Mato, and Oro has the dash slash. That's really cool that they do that, and it's interesting that you can't tell them apart, so you have to kind of figure out which one is doing which, because you dodge them both very differently. Anyway, I think I've said my piece. I'm glad to have fought you, and goodbye, Oro and Mato. Maybe we'll meet again in Silksong. And here we are at the part of the Pantheon where I start to care about how much damage I take. Because we've got blue faces to protect. And there is the folklore about the 10 blue faces. I would love to get back to 10 blue faces once again. Zero, I think you were the first... Whoops, dodged that the wrong way. I think you were the first dream boss that I fought. I think so. And that makes sense because you're very close to where the dream nail is earned. Dodge that way. And honestly, you are a difficult battle, and your ascended version, the ascended version of this arena, really does make it a lot harder. I appreciate the challenge that comes with Zero. So, speaking of that challenge, let's try not to get hit again. That was a pretty good hit, I think. Have to dodge this way. There we go. Got him. So I lost one blue face to Zero. Goodbye, Zero. You were a good boss. The Crystal Guardian. The Crystal Guardian is... I don't know, it's one of the mini-bosses of the world, and it's a very interesting mini-boss in the world because, for one, all that he's guarding is a bench. You actually don't have to fight him. You can just walk by him. It's just that you might want to use that bench. And I think that's cool. The reward that you get for defeating a mini-boss is a save point. And that's a neat design. The other aspect is that he jumps away. You don't defeat him. So you know that you're going to fight him again sometime. The Soul Master. Of all of the bosses, Soul Master, I really like thematically who you are, and I really dislike how your battle goes. I really don't like bosses that teleport around the arena, because it makes them difficult to actually go up and fight, and that makes the battle slow once you've actually learned how the battle goes. And, you know, it's fine to have slow battles, but I don't know, this one just feels slow, and it's not great to have battles that feel slow. That might be just my opinion though. To the Soul Master, the rest of these bosses, I've been saying that it's been good to fight you, and we'll see you again, but honestly, I'm kinda glad that this is the last fight against the Soul Master. And I'm disappointed that I took one blue face of damage already. So in this second part, the crazy phase, I guess oh darn. The one thing that I did really like about the Soul Master was the crazy phase of the battle. What in the world? I just jumped into it? That's sad. I really like how you think that you've gotten the downward dive. You think that you've gotten the reward from the Soul Master. And then he crashes through the floor. It's a great move in the normal game, in the outside the Godhome normal go through the game. I'm saying that very poorly. I'm sure you understand what I mean though. The Baubles. The Baubles are a really fun boss, honestly. I really like the upgrade of a normal enemy into a boss. There's the Baubles, I think they're called, that get upgraded into Baubles for the boss. And I like that aspect of it, and this is also a completely optional boss. You fight the Baubles in the Colosseum, so you could just never go through the second part of the Colosseum, never see the Baubles. And man, I am terrible at the Baubles. I mean, I've gotten a lot better, but still, the Baubles have given me so much more trouble than bosses that feel like they should be harder than them. So Baubles, I've enjoyed fighting you. I feel like of all of the bosses, you're one of the ones that I never truly learned how to beat. Well, every time. And I've lost all of my blue faces, which is unfortunate. The Mantis Lords. I enjoy fighting the Mantis Lords every time. I think part of the reason that I enjoy fighting the Mantis Lords is that it's really fun to fight them with your nail. There's a lot of times that you can get a hit in against them with your nail if you're quick. And as you've probably noticed, I really do enjoy fighting with the nail. I've gotten used to fighting with spells more, and I do enjoy fighting with the spells, but I enjoy most the basic, normal combat. And the Mantis Lords give you a fast-paced version of that. The Sisters of Battle. Sisters of Battle was quite a surprise when we went into the 5th Pantheon the first time, and it was a very welcome surprise because the Mantis Lords at this point are pretty easy compared to other bosses, so fighting a harder version of the Mantis Lords was welcome. It's just unfortunate that you never got to see it until the 5th Pantheon. Like, don't get me wrong, I like there to be late game surprises like that. It's just that I would have preferred to see this beforehand because of how much I like the battle. Also, did 2 of them just go on the left? I didn't know they could do that. Never seen them do that before. 2 of them went on the same side? Okay, well, that's something new. Not that it's very significant for how I fight this battle, but still, I've never seen it before. I do like that I have gotten the use of the down spell in this particular boss now. Although I did it poorly there, I got hit with it once. And just looking at how I'm doing against the Sisters of Battle, you can kind of tell that I'm not playing the best right now. I hope that changes before we get near the end, because if this does not change, I will lose this Pantheon. Right. Where'd the other one go? There he went. I'm not worried about my health because I had lost my blue faces a while back. It's just that I'm worried about my quality of play right now. It has to change in order for us to beat the rest of this Pantheon. And the Fates did decree that I was going to beat it this time. So I've got to defeat it this time. Marmu. I really like Marmu as a boss. It's the puzzle boss where you have to figure out how you fight the boss, not just swinging around and figuring out the patterns of the boss, but figuring out what you do. What you do to prevent Marmu from just destroying you. I really liked that the first time that I had fought Marmu because it was something that I had to figure out. In the Pantheons, however, I have a very hard time avoiding damage from Marmu, which makes it kind of sad to run into a boss that's relatively easy and then get hit by it apparently twice this time. That's unfortunate, you know? Now the Fluke Marm has felt like an underwhelming boss every single time, including the first time that I fought the Fluke Marm. The Broken Vessel. I think the Broken Vessel was the first boss that I fought in the main game where I had gotten better at the main game by the time I had gotten to the Broken Vessel. So I felt very powerful when I fought the Broken Vessel the first time. Compared to every other boss where I had to learn and figure it out and it took me a little while to get it the first time, I think the Broken Vessel, not only did I defeat it the first time, I defeated it without taking damage the first time. So the Broken Vessel is a good boss, and it really caused me to feel powerful, to feel a lot better at the game by the time I got there. Galleon. Galleon is an annoying one to fight. For two reasons. One of them I would like to point out is what just hit me there. Galleon just floats down into you sometimes, and that's kind of annoying. For the floaty ghost boss, I accidentally jumped a second time there. That was just a mistaken input. For the floaty ghost boss, it's really annoying to get hit by the floaty ghost boss because they just float down to where you are. And that's what I dislike the most about Galleon. Don't float down to where I am. Stay in the air, man. Paintmaster Shio. Paintmaster Shio is a fun one. I kind of like that it matters what color his brush is as to what he does. That way you can figure out what he's about to do. I do wonder if people that are colorblind or have trouble telling colors apart have a lot of trouble with this boss or not. That's something that I think a lot about, really because of my history in board games. Board game design heavily has to consider the colorblind people, because board games usually have colors being the distinguishing factor for things in a board game. And because of that, I notice when games have colorblind problems in them, colorblind design problems, more often than most people do. Most people that are not colorblind, I guess. And does Shio have that problem? Because he also moves differently depending on which attack he's going to do, but the main way that I know what attack he's going to do is by the color of the attack. Is that a problem? Either way, I enjoy Shio, and goodbye, Shio. It's glad to fight you the last time. We've got 5 blue faces again. So far the blue faces have been falling off quite quickly. Oh, the Hive Knight. The Hive Knight really felt like a boss. The first time I fought the Hive Knight, I thought this boss was very challenging. And then when I got into the Godhome and, had fought many more bosses, I thought the Hive Knight was not that hard. And I wondered, wait a minute, why did I think that the first time? Was I just having a bad day? Was I playing particularly poorly that day? Or was the Hive Knight the right challenge at the time? I don't actually know, but I find it interesting how I thought a boss was really challenging until I fought it a second time. You know, after I beat it the first time. I fought that boss another time and I thought, wow, this boss is a lot easier than I remember. That's a good sign for a boss. I appreciate that. Elder Who. Elder Who, I fought you very early on. You're one of the first Dreamland bosses I fought. Maybe even before Zero, but I think Zero was still the first one. Elder Who is a little bit annoying to fight because he teleports. He's got the same problem as the Soul Master. He teleports around, which makes it so that you can't really go up and hit him most of the time. And it's kind of annoying when bosses do that, when they just teleport away from you. So goodbye, Elder Who. I'm glad to fight you the last time, honestly. The Collector. So the Collector is one of the bosses that's going to be hard in this particular run, because my Unbreakable Strength, or without the Unbreakable Strength, it takes me 2 hits to destroy the Ascended version of the collectibles that he puts out. And that makes this battle a lot harder than you'd expect at this point in the game. So I might lose all of my blue faces here. I will be using spells a lot more than I usually do in order to take out the little ones that he puts out. And the Primal Aspids. Oh man. The fact that you use Primal Aspids makes you evil, Collector. Who would use a Primal Aspid? You don't collect those. Collecting Primal Aspids is questionable. Questionable as a hobby, sir. I should probably heal, honestly. Maybe when he's staggered I should heal instead of try to defeat him. I don't know if he's going to be staggered again, though. Because I do have bosses after this, I believe. I did not defeat the Primal Aspid with my spell. Oh no. Okay, let's heal once. Yeah, the Collector was much more difficult this time. Although I'm still playing poorly, that does not bode well. The God Tamer. The God Tamer is an interesting boss because you have to design the God Tamer to be relatively easy. Just because the God Tamer comes at the end of a giant rush. The last Colosseum of Fools. The Trial of the Fools. And if you make it too hard, at the end of the Trial of the Fools, it's going to be really frustrating for players who get to the end and die to the God Tamer multiple times. So the God Tamer is an interesting place because when you're just fighting the God Tamer, it's actually not that special. It's a lot more special when you fight the God Tamer after fighting through the Colosseum of Fools. Also, I know that I can heal in the God Tamer battle, but not unless the God Tamer is very far away and spitting at me, like that. That's when I can heal. I would like to use this as a healing battle because, hey, we're not at the end of the Trial of the Fools here. We're at the end of a much more difficult trial. We're in the middle of a much more difficult trial. Okay, gotta get out of this place. There we go. Needed the god to rush. The one bit that was slightly surprising to me about the God Tamer is that you don't have to defeat both of them. Like, why don't you have to defeat both of them? Every other boss where there's multiple bosses, you have to defeat all of them in order to win. except for the God Tamer, where you only have to defeat the big one. Makes it a little bit different, but also makes it so that once you know you only have to defeat one of them, you just only defeat that one. I think I defeated the Tamer the first time that I fought, and never again. I think I've defeated only the God portion of the God Tamer every other time. Bow to the Troop Master Grimm. So the Troop Master Grimm is much, much slower than the Nightmare King Grimm. We need to not get used to this speed of the battle, so that when we get to the end, we can fight the Nightmare King Grimm well. Let's heal once. I remember the Nightmare King, the Troop Master Grimm, being a very long boss battle. It was a real trial for me the first time. And I think that's because I fought it before you would normally fight it. You know, before most people fought it. And part of that, I'm sure, is because it was part of downloadable content. Of content that was released after the main game was released. And so I fought it in the middle of playing through normal Hollow Knight, whereas I'm sure many other people fought it after they had already beat Hollow Knight and come back to play after some DLC came out. But still, I think the main problem I had was that I just fought the Troop Master Grimm too soon. I hadn't had the level up to my nail specifically that I probably should have had before I went up against the Troop Master Grimm the first time. But you are a very fun fight, and I love the theme. I love how even in the normal fight, there's an audience watching you, and they clap. I think that's brilliant. Another place where the fight is more of a dance, more of a game within the game, rather than a fight to the death, as it is in other places. I like when they vary that. You know, some fights can be all about, you know, one of us, two men come into a room, one will leave, type of a battle, and some battles can be more of joyful combat. More of a dance. Let's just zip past Un, because you don't fight Un. The Watcher Knights. I've never been very impressed with the Watcher Knights. The Watcher Knights are just kind of a long battle. It's interesting, because having to fight so many of them is what's hard. Their movement is not difficult to avoid. It's not difficult to hit them with spells. It's not difficult to hit them with your nail. What's difficult is the fact that you have to survive through many of them. But still, there's just so many of them. And I really enjoy how in the main game there is a secret. There is the chandelier that you can drop and fight, I believe, one less Watcher Knight. I believe that's how that works. I was never able to find out because I found the chandelier secret after I had already fought through the Watcher Knights. But you do see the chandelier landing on one of them in the room, so it's pretty easy to guess what would have happened. But I really like that there's a secret like that. I'm sure that's a very important one for like speedrunning the game. I did use that in the speedrun, but you know, when I'm fighting the Watcher Knights, I never count how many Watcher Knights there are, so I don't know how many it stop me from having to fight. I guess I probably used it in my Steel Soul run, too. I guess I have used that secret multiple times. I just had kind of forgotten about it. And I never really learned exactly what it did. Because even now, I couldn't tell you how many Watcher Knights I just defeated. Umu is a very interesting boss in the Godhome, because the way that you fight it in the normal game outside the Godhome is so much different than inside the Godhome. Outside... oh man, I jumped way too soon. Oh, I very surprisingly landed that. And the second one too. But I do very much enjoy in video games where you have a character that helps you fight a boss. And Zelda does that a couple times, where Zelda helps Link fight Ganon or Ganondorf at the end, and I have enjoyed every time that that's happened. So Umu is another one like that, where you have assistance in the battle, and I don't know, I just enjoy that when you're not a character all on your own. Sometimes you get help from the characters you meet along the way. And this marks the end of our blue faces yet again. Winged Nosk. Winged Nosk was a real surprise the first time. The main thing that I find weird about Winged Nosk is that it doesn't feel like Nosk. It feels like another upgraded version of the Vengefly King. So this battle bears so little resemblance to the Nosk battle, to how you fight Nosk, that it just feels incredibly different. And it makes it feel like there's no Nosk battle in the Pantheon of Hallownest. Something that I find to be somewhat odd, that one of the bosses that you learn to fight, you just don't fight. Technically you do, because here's Nosk right here, but honestly, this fight is just so different from Nosk that it feels like Nosk isn't here. And then, of course, the other thing about fighting Nosk here is that Winged Nosk has so much more health than the Vengefly Kings, so it's a pretty big upgrade to the Vengefly King battle. Oh, Sly. Sly is an excellent fight. Ooh, did my dodge too late there. Sly is one of the battles that has probably the most different moves that Sly can do, which just really works. Calling Sly the Great Nail Sage and then you actually fighting Sly, I think they did a great job making Sly seem like an amazing swordsman. And the fact that most of his moves take like one or two swings at you. You know, his moves are not just he attacks you with the sword. It's like he does 3 attacks in a row with the sword. He does a combo attack. And then of course he just has so many different moves. He has all 3 of the Nail Sage abilities that you've learned, that you've seen from the other Nail Masters. Yeah, Sly is a great fight. Is Sly my favorite fight? I don't know, maybe. It's certainly the fight that when I first fought Sly, I was most impressed with how the battle goes. You really have to figure out how to fight Sly. And so much of fighting Sly is learning how to not get hit by his crazy attacks. This part of the battle seems underwhelming, though. I mean, in one sense, it's kind of cool because he's a fly, so obviously he's going to fly around. But it's just so easy to avoid getting hit in this particular part of the battle, and that's so different than the first part of the battle. I mean, maybe it comes as kind of a respite after you fight a challenging first part of a battle. You get an easier second part. But I don't know. It does make Sly just seem worse at what he does. Still, all in all, a wonderful battle. The Hornet. The second time that you fight the Hornet, I like how it feels so much the same, while also feeling so much harder. And she does get some upgraded attacks, like she gets placing the traps, she gets the parry move, and then all of her other attacks are faster. But honestly, it was so long between when I fought the first Hornet and the second Hornet that I didn't notice that her attacks were faster. I noticed only that she had new attacks. And I think that's neat too, because having a boss be much faster than a previous boss and the player not notice is pretty neat. It shows how far you've gotten and how much more powerful your character is by the time you get to the second version of the Hornet. The Hornet is also a battle where she gets staggered a lot, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's an interesting thing. It does make the boss easier. But I think all of the mainline bosses in the game, except for the Watcher Knights, I guess. But if you think about the first Hornet, the Dung Defender, the Hollow Knight, and the second Hornet, all of them get staggered a number of times during the battle. And that allows you to heal in the middle of a battle. It also allows you to have a little bit of rest time in the middle of a battle. And I don't know, I like that tempo change. And I think it's neat how they do it for some but not all. And I think it was very intentional, the ones that they did do it on. The ones that are major bosses that you have to fight for the endings of the game. So the Enraged Guardian dealing double damage is a lot more significant than the Crystal Guardian, but it just feels like the same battle, honestly. The Lost Kin. Now that I've fought the Lost Kin a number of times, I think of the Lost Kin as not very different than the Broken Vessel. And some of that is just, I'm much better at destroying these little light balls. These little decay balls or infection balls that he sprouts out all the time. Because that's the main difference between the Lost Kin and the Broken Vessel. Other than the speed, I guess. But the main difference is that those little infection balls come out all the time. And notably, the Broken Vessel and the Lost Kin are also in that list of bosses that get staggered a lot during the battle, along with the Hornet and the Dung Defender and the Hollow Knight. Whoa, he jumped at me. His most dangerous move, jumping. Slam, body slam. Does the Lost Kin have a lot more health than the Broken Vessel? I'm honestly not sure. They could have the same health for all I know. Getting hit twice there is not great. I haven't gotten up to my normal speed in terms of of ability to kill bosses without getting hit. That's not great. That could mean a very challenging endgame here. I guess today is just not my best day for playing Hollow Knight. Oh well, we'll do it anyway. No eyes. No eyes. I think I get bored in this battle. This is another boss that teleports around. You might notice that I have a common theme, that I don't really like the teleporting bosses very much. And No Eyes is a teleporting boss that also makes it difficult for you to move toward her. So, No Eyes is kind of the worst of the teleportation bosses. The bosses that feel like they take a really long time because you just can't move forward in the battle most of the time. At least not how I fight No Eyes. I guess maybe some people are much better at going around the arena and going to No Eyes wherever she is. But for me, especially in this case where I'm trying to preserve these 3 blue faces I have, No Eyes takes a while. There we go. No Eyes down. No Eyes takes a while, even though it doesn't take many hits to defeat No Eyes. The Traitor Lord. I like the Traitor Lord. The Traitor Lord is another one of those upgrades from a normal enemy. And actually, it's an upgrade of a normal enemy that was an upgrade of a different normal enemy. The mantises that you fight in the Fungal Wastes are much easier than the mantises that you fight in the Queen's Gardens. And then the Traitor Lord is an upgraded version of those mantises. I like that. And the fact that the Traitor Lord does double damage is pretty significant. The Traitor Lord is also one of the only bosses that requires you to have the Shade Soul in order to dodge all of his attacks. It also requires you to have the Shade Soul to get to the boss, which is appropriate. If you need it to dodge one of the attacks, the game should require you to have it before you get there. The only other one I can think of off the top of my head is the Radiance. The Radiance, I think, is the only other boss that has an attack that just goes across the screen, and the only way to get through it is to dodge through with the Shade Soul. The White Defender. You are a boss that not only was I poor at for a while, actually, when I fought the White Defender in the main game, the first few times that I fought it, I lost like every time. And then, wow, I'm getting hit too much. And then after I defeated him the first time, I think I won every other level of the White Defender in a row after that. It's like once I got it the first time, figured it out. But the White Defender is interesting in a couple ways. It's an upgrade from the Dung Defender, obviously, but also it's one of the only bosses in the game, this and Grey Prince Zote, that you can fight multiple times, that has multiple levels of the fight. And then the White Defender is hidden very well, to the point that I don't think I would have found the White Defender without the hints I was given as to how to find it. I might have found it if I just had learned that the White Defender existed as a boss, but it would have taken me a long time to find the White Defender. It was well hidden. One of the things about how well the White Defender was hidden is that even after finding where the White Defender is, he wasn't there to fight the first time. And I don't know exactly when the White Defender gets there. But goodbye, White Defender. Joyful battles all around. We're at another fountain room, and yet again, no blue faces are being brought forward. We're only getting our requisite 5. The White Lady. Goodbye, White Lady. The Soul Tyrant. Not much to say about the Soul Tyrant. The Soul Tyrant is even more annoying than the Soul Master. And that's saying something. Not only does he teleports so fast, it's hard to get even a single hit on him a lot of the times. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks that this boss is very hard to hit with spells. But man, using spells against the Soul Tyrant is just annoying. You'd think, oh man, he's too far away for me to hit with the nail. Let me hit him with a spell. But even when you use a spell, he's like too far away. And he disappears usually before you hit him with a spell. I've learned a couple times when I can hit him with spells, which is why I'm actually hitting him this time. But it took me a long time to really get those down. Losing 2 blue faces against the Soul Tyrant is not great. I'm just not playing as well today as I normally am. That could spell bad things for the end of this Pantheon. We'll see. Put a spell on you there, one of the few times that I can. But yeah, once you figure out how to fight the Soul Tyrant, it just feels slow. It feels like you can never get a hit on, in my opinion. Wrong spell. The crazy phase of the battle I like a lot more. It's much more challenging, but the crazy phase is so much faster. You constantly have to be doing something. I feel like there's a lot of places in this phase of the battle where I'm just standing still, waiting for the Soul Tyrant to do something where I can hit him. Not standing still too much, but I'm just, making a simple dodge, and then waiting, and then a simple dodge, and then waiting. Alright, crazy phase. I've lost all my blue faces. That's pretty terrible, honestly. Let's hope that I get better by the time we get to the end. Aw. Well, I thought that using the downward dive there would make it so that I could get through that phase the first time and not get hit. I was wrong on both accounts. Let's heal up. Who's next? Markoth. Markoth. Such a challenging one, especially in this arena. I think this arena is very difficult. I've learned how to do this, the dash in, dash out strategy, and I think that's very effective against Markoth. But also, geez, Markoth is hard to dodge. And Markoth was already hard to dodge in the normal version of the arena, so having him even harder in the Ascended version of the arena really made him a hard boss. And it makes it so that I'm honestly worried about losing some of my health here and not being able to heal it back. I mean, he does offer points in the battle where you can heal if you have the soul, but those are also the points in the battle where I can hit him, so it's kind of annoying. You have to choose one or the other. I'm going to choose to heal this, though. By the way. Actually, I don't think I can heal when he's that close to me. Heal. Now, this part of the battle. Need to see where all the knives are. And then I want to use spells once it feels safe. Use a spell there. Ooh, I thought that would push him away more than it did. It did not. And that was dangerous. Oh, that knife just appeared on me, didn't it? I was already in the middle of the jump, and it appeared under me when I was falling. So I do need to hit Markoth in order to do anything else. Can't use a spell. I have to hit him with the nail a couple times. Oops. Nope. Okay. At least I didn't get hit twice there by also falling. No! I fell there for no reason. Heal once. Oh, almost dodged that nail. Did not, but almost. So, how am I going to do this? I don't think I'm going to. I was considering, though. When you can't see the nail, it's still coming. You just don't know where it's coming from, and that's a problem. So, there we go. 2 hits in the dash in, dash out strategy. Markoth is also slow because there's a lot of times where you can't really hit him, but I don't feel so bad about that because I feel like I can't hit him not because he's too far away from me, but because I'm just not good enough to go up and hit him. Like, if I was better, I could sneak my nail in between his shields and not get hit. Grey Prince Zote. I found out the last time I attempted this that the unbreakable strength does not make it so different, or let me say that a different way. Without the unbreakable strength, I can still defeat the Zotelings in one hit, and that is very important for fighting Zote. Zote gets much more difficult if it takes 2 hits to defeat the Zotelings. I don't like being above Zote. I didn't see how I could not be above him there. Ooh, that was bad. Alright, let's worry about our health a little bit more. So, in order to worry about my health a little bit more, what I need to do is 1, not get hit, 2, heal up every opportunity. There we go, we healed up twice. There are a couple places that I can heal in this battle, the main one being obviously when he's staggered, but also right there is a healing spot. Oh gosh. I don't like there being a Zoteling just over there that's alive. Heal once. Defeat the Zoteling. There we go. There's now not a Zoteling just hanging out over there. One of the things that I found hard to remember about Zote was how to deal with his shockwaves. For some reason, it's so different than other battles that I just forget about dodging shockwaves with Zote. The like 2nd and 3rd and 4th time that I have had to fight Zote, and I don't mean the different levels of Zote. Zote is one of the bosses that has multiple levels, and it has made me less desirable to fight Zote because I've fought Grey Prince Zote so many times. I was kind of happy to fight through the different levels of Zote and try to get to the end of those. But when I found out that I had to fight Zote more in the Pantheons and in the Hall of the Gods, I had already felt like I had fought enough Zote by that point. So, oh, that was sad. I don't like when he staggers and he hits me because he's staggered. But there's just so much Zote in this game. So goodbye, Zote. I'm actually happy not to fight you again. The Failed Champion. The Failed Champion is so much harder than the False Knight. I've never fully gotten the Failed Champion down, for some reason. I feel like I should have the Failed Champion down by this point. But the Failed Champion, I don't know, something about this battle just makes it much harder for me than I feel like it should be. Especially with how often you're able to hit the Failed Champion and how little life he has. You'd think that this battle would be easy. But he just moves fast, he does double damage, and you don't get soul off of him, so you can't just heal everything that you take. So the Failed Champion is a challenging one, and has remained a challenging one for me. The Failed Champion was one of the easy to find Dreamland versions of a normal boss, and I think that's intentional. I think that this one is placed in a way that you would go back and you would find it, so that you know that Dreamland bosses exist, and therefore you know to try other ones, like the Soul Tyrant. You'd have no reason to go back to the Soul Tyrant if you didn't know. The Nightmare King Grim. One of the most challenging battles in the game for me. And as I have learned many times, one of the things that is consistently challenging about this battle is that I don't figure out how to dodge everything again immediately. It takes me a little bit in the battle to remember how the battle works enough to dodge everything that the Nightmare King Grim does. So often this battle, it takes me a little bit of time. Ooh, darn. Before I stop getting hit. And that's important, because he does double damage, and my life goes down a lot, and then I figure out how to not get hit. So often it's kind of like you're in a TV show, you're in a movie, where I start out doing poorly against the boss, and then I get better. But it happens every time. I get better in the middle of the battle. See, I've got 3 damage on right now. 3 damage is not great. That means that if I get hit 3 times without getting a heal, I die. And the heals in this battle are difficult to pull off. There are times when you can heal, but often when you have those times, you have to time it really well and then do a difficult dodge against the next move. So there are times to heal, but they're not the easiest heals to pull off. For example, I didn't pull that one off. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Heal. I dashed far too soon there. So I've got 4 damage on now. I've gone up by 1 damage. This is a good time to heal, and we can heal twice there. I don't like when he does the uppercut. I mean, I don't like it any time, but I don't like it when I'm at the edge of the map and he does it. I think that makes it particularly hard to dodge. Oh, I failed to dodge a blimp. That's kind of surprising. 3, 4, heal. Ooh, darn. I think my attempts to heal are actually doing so poorly that I'm getting hit more because of them. I don't know, though. Hard to tell. Uppercut. Another uppercut. This battle is much easier with the Shade Cloak, by the way. You can dodge the uppercut without it, but the uppercut is rather difficult to dodge. Unless you've got the Shade Cloak. Alright, we're almost to the end of this battle, I believe, which means that I'm making it to the last two. And as well as I've played so far, which is not great, it really comes down to the last two. How well I do against the Pure Vessel and the Absolute Radiance is what really counts. And it just has to be better than I've done so far, honestly, or else I'll die. Why did I walk through there? I still dodged it, but I made it much harder to dodge than it could have been. That spell was ill-advised. I shot the spell, but it was an ill-advised spell. One, two, 3, and 4. That was good. Let's heal up. Oh gosh. Dodged that, but not easily. I do like getting a hit on him when he does the uppercut. I feel pretty strong when I do that. And here we are at the end. Got my last 5 blue faces. Let's see if they last past the Pure Vessel. And let's win this Pantheon, as the fates decreed. Pure Vessel. I see you. You are a monster, I say. Now remember, I do have a shorter nail than I normally have, and that matters for the Pure Vessel. Because one of the ways that I dodge some of his attacks is by bouncing off the top of him, and it's harder to do that when you've got a shorter nail. Body slam him. It's one of the few times that we can put a spell in, safely at least. This is one time. Surprised that he didn't parry that attack. I was expecting him to. Good. Body slam. Okay, that one was a difficult dodge. A difficult, I guess, parry. Because I did a parry there. Body slam. Oh, I don't have the soul. I was going to use a spell there. Dodge through. It's important to dodge through the correct direction. Shoot him. Shoot him again. Body slam. Almost didn't know what he was doing. Was able to figure it out enough to dodge, though. I lost 2 blue faces. It's kind of sad because the particular move he was doing there was not one I usually have a hard time dodging. I was just too close to him. Too close to his body. There's the creepy move. That means that we're close to finishing the battle. Body slam. There we go. 3 blue faces left to use against the Absolute Radiance. And all we have to do is fight this one well. Let's do it. Hello, Absolute Radiance. You truly are the final boss. The Absolute Radiance was designed very well to be a challenging boss battle, to be kind of an ultimate challenge when you fought every other challenge in this game. And I appreciate difficult boss battles when they're at the right point in the game, and this one is a difficult boss battle at the correct point in the game for this level of boss. Let's see here. Dodge, dodge, dodge. That's what we're doing. We're dodging. 1, 2, there's 3 of those. Good time for a spell. There's 3 of those as well. Dodge these spells. I like to be on the ground when I'm dodging those spells. Ooh, got hit once, but I lost 2 blue faces. I like to be on the ground when I'm dodging the spells because when the spells hit the ground, they go away, instead of just circling more around. Alright, we're going into the next part. All I have to do is not get hit by all of these swords. Okay. Don't like where these swords are. Was able to not get hit by the swords, though. Let's go. Second part of the battle. And remember, I can use my Descending Dark if that's appropriate at the time. Aha. That's swords. I missed completely with that. What's going on? Spells. If I don't know what's going on, it's usually spells. I need the Radiance to be closer to me. She went farther away. I did not like that. Okay, I fell off. The nice thing about falling off is that it only does 1 damage instead of 2. So I only lost 1 blue face. Oh, I have no idea how I dodged those swords. And then swords, there'll be 1 more of those. Oh, darn. I can actually heal here. I forgot that I can heal. I'm used to fighting the Radiant version of the Absolute Radiance now, where healing is not useful at all, but you can actually heal. I did hit her there. Oh, I felt pretty good about that. Oh, we're at the next part of the battle. I healed up, though, successfully. Not something that I would have done if I realized we were at the next part, though. So I'm kind of glad I didn't realize it. And... oh-ho. Getting up here without getting hit is good. And then it's just dodging spells. Dodging spells is not incredibly difficult, but I'm not the best at it. Get used to the cadence of the spells. Don't worry about the teleportation. Get used to the spells. Because all you have to do is dodge the spells. Got it! There we go. And that completes the 5th Pantheon with all 4 of the bindings. 1 at a time. Not all 4 at once. But there we go. I've defeated everything that I intended to defeat in my blind playthrough. Which means at the end of this, once this comes out, actually before this comes out, but you might not know then, but after this comes out, feel free to tell me anything. I will have 1 finale episode, and you might wonder what I'm going to do in the finale episode. You'll find out next week. Goodbye, Godseeker. It was good to battle inside your mind, I guess. Hollow Knight was the first thing that I started on this channel, and it has been a blast. I'm very happy to have played through Hollow Knight. I'm very happy to have finished my blind playthrough, but I won't entirely stop playing Hollow Knight. I'll probably do some streams. I'll probably do some challenges. I'm sure there are many more interesting things to do in Hollow Knight. I have at least one idea. But you'll see more from me besides the finale episode. It's just there's only one more episode in this series. Congratulations! Well done on achieving this great feat. You persevered and you triumphed. We hope you enjoyed yourself in the world of Hollow Knight. We'll meet again soon on the road ahead. Thanks for going with me throughout this journey. It's been surprisingly large. In this episode, I defeated the Pantheon of Hallownest with the Charms Binding. That is the very last thing on my list, which means the blind playthrough is done. I have one last finale video next Sunday, and then a new game takes the Sunday slot. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.